battery died on my action camera, so we're going to go to the phone here because I have a few more things I want to say. I was talking about recognizing patterns in my life and things in my life that have happened that are lining up with seasonal changes. Now, I don't put too much weight into this stuff, right? Like, the pattern of the moon, the sun, the stars, the planets. You know, I find that stuff interesting. I think astrology is interesting. I'm interested in it. I don't know too much about it. Haven't explored it as much as I've explored other topics, but there are some things that make sense to me. But I also don't want to get too carried away with it because I think it's possible to get too carried away with it to the point where it doesn't even make sense. You know, but I have noticed things aligning with the changing of the seasons and the phases of the moon. And like, even today, for example, the savings of daylight, right? This day has been monumental in many ways. You know, there's a shift. We're going into a time of more darkness, but in that I've found more light somehow. Just with family connections, personal milestones, achievements, having spiritual darkness lifted from me. That's really the big thing, the thing I noticed the most, because I was in a really different place like just a month ago, I guess less than a month ago, whenever this ended for me. I didn't really know what to do. I thought I'd gone dark, spiritually dead, lost my light, lost my energy, lost myself. Didn't really have a clear direction, and I had some really crazy thoughts during that time, you know? And I don't know what helped me. Like, I don't want to give prescriptions or anything because I don't think there's a prescription or a recipe for it. And, you know, I think that's one of the issues with depression and some of the reason we get stuck in this stuff because we're looking for a recipe or like the remedy or the cure or whatever to escape it. But really, we just got to go through it and bear it somehow, even if it means like getting close to death or like contemplating thoughts, right? I'm not going to go there, but it's hard. It's hard to bear it. And some things that I think helped me, and this is not prescriptive, but I reached out for help. I had to. I felt like I had no other option. I'm not a person who typically does that. I feel like I'm pretty strong-willed. I have my stuff together for the most part. I feel like I can handle myself. I can handle things, no issue. So, not something I normally do, but I reached out to everyone. Friends, family, professionals. And I got the stuff off my chest, you know? And I don't think this always works. I don't think like talking about it or, you know, therapy sessions are always the answer. Sometimes it makes things worse, and it also depends what kind of therapist you go to, what kind of therapy they're treating you with. You know, so it's an individual process. I can't give you an answer, but, you know, I reached out. I cried to a lot of people, cried to strangers, friends that I didn't really know that well, friends that I knew very well, family. You know, I didn't want to throw this stuff on my mom and my sister. They have their own things they're going through. I don't want to upset them, you know, but I leaned on them. I did that. And yeah, I don't regret it. And then another thing that really, I don't know, like I don't know if this was the thing that kind of broke me out of this, but I had started these breathwork classes where you do this 3-part breathing for about an hour. And part of that is holding your breath for certain points, for a few times during this session. And after you hold your breath and when you exhale, you just cry and scream and you get it all out, and you do that publicly. As embarrassing as that sounds, everyone's there doing the same thing, processing their pain and trauma. It sounds crazy, right? And then at the end of that session, you have an opportunity to talk about it. No judgment, no prescriptions. They just they hold space for you to just speak, and we all just listen, accept it, and then breathe together, let it go. I didn't share anything until one of the last sessions I did, where I didn't cry because I was hurt or traumatized or depressed. I started to cry because I was grateful, and I felt a strong sense of gratitude for the existence of that space and the community that I'd found. And I just shared my gratitude with them, with the instructor. And I felt like that was a big turning point. But something else had happened that day as well, where I was able to receive forgiveness and reconciliation from a person who I thought I might have pushed away permanently. And I don't know why. I have a reason for why I was allowed that. I know I could say, like, my past experience, a recent past experience, I was denied forgiveness from someone, and I had a really hard time forgiving myself. It was a similar situation, similar feeling, where like I couldn't forgive myself. I was really depressed. So I kind of thought this was the same thing. And I realized I've made that mistake with this person, this relationship. And throughout the whole thing, I've been relating it to a previous relationship where, we didn't really connect, right? And this has not been like that at all. It's been very different from the start, and guess I'm starting to fully realize that now. I hope I haven't tarnished things beyond repair. I don't think I have. We've connected a few times since, so just kind of taking it day by day, accepting what things are, appreciating the present, not putting hopes and dreams, out into the future, and looking back into the past, and really just trying to appreciate what I have this day, and some of the opportunities I might have with this friend. So I'm appreciative. I'm grateful that I was given an opportunity, that I have a friend like this, and I don't know what changed that day, but something had shifted that gave me an opportunity. So things have been good. But I know better not to rest on this goodness and not to see it as like a sign of, future goodness, because look, there's going to be more heartache and more upsets, right? Like, even my mom said today, we were talking about like having children and whatnot, and long story, but my mom's like, you guys cause a lot of like pain and heartache, she didn't mean it, negatively. She was just making an observation, kids are a headache. So even though they're joyful, and like my sister and I are my mom's joy, I know that for a fact. We are her greatest achievement, and she loves us like in a crazy motherly way. It's very intense, and it's admirable. But even with that strong love comes a good amount of pain and suffering. So it all evens out. Really is just a zero-sum system. all of the pain is evened out with love, all of the life is evened out with death, and it's a big circle. So it's a comfort to think of it that way. And I'm happy to be here, able to talk about it with lightness rather than a heavy heart, weighed down by depression.